Well, hello YouTube, Steve Patton with General Patton Bushcraft back with you, friends. I'm super excited to bring you another video. Today's video is the recap of Alone Season 11, Episode 10. Stay tuned. Alright friends, this is the recap for Alone Season 11, Episode 10, titled Symphony of Solitude. Friends, they're up there in the Arctic Circle, and every show starts with a famous quote from a famous person. This one is, "First fight, then fiddle," from Gwendolyn Brooks. Alright friends, let's get right into the show. It's day 54 now, 11:22 in the morning, and 3 people remain. We got Dub, we got William, and we got Timber. And all 3 are looking strong, friends. All right, the show goes right over to Dub. He's 44 years old from Michigan, USA. It's 29 degrees, and he can hear the river, or excuse me, the lake behind his shelter freezing up, crunching and crackling. And we know they need about 4 inches of ice to be safe to get out there to start ice fishing. He's running out of food. He's got a little bit of fish stored up in his shelter that he salvaged from the mice defecating all over it. So he brings some wood into the shelter, and he gets a fire going. And friends, he's got a problem. He's got a condensation problem in the shelter with water dripping right on his sleeping bag. Oh, and that's not good. So friends, he rebuilds that part of the roof. He takes the spruce boughs and he puts it on top of the tarp, and he hopes that's going to solve the problem. All right, friends, it's day 55 now, 10:51 in the morning. The show goes over to Timber. He's the 35-year-old from Indiana, USA. And he says, while he's laying in his sleeping bag, that yesterday he gave his teeth a break from chewing on all that jerky. And he says he had a great night sleeping. He got about at least 8 hours of sleep, he said. So he goes out hunting, checking those snare lines. There's no tracks in the snow. He finds one of the snares are busted. He doesn't know if the animal broke free or if some predator came and stole it. So his strategy is to ration his food well. He's got a lot of that moose jerky left and a little bit of fish. He says he can go well past 100 days, friends. And we see some footage of a wolverine trying to break into his food cache. And the next morning he finds those wolverine tracks. Friends, that wolverine followed his boot tracks from the edge of the forest all the way back into his camp. Wowee. He pulls all of his snares up. He's worried that that wolverine is just going to take his snowshoe hares if he gets one in the middle of the night. So he pulls up all of his snares, friends. Okay, friends, it's day 57 now, 10:13 in the morning. The show goes over to William. He's the 49-year-old from Labrador, Canada, and he tries ice fishing. He makes a wire leader on that fishing line for the pike with all those sharp teeth, friends. So he sets a fish line, cooks the rest of his grouse that he had stored up, and while eating that grouse, he sees the stick that he has tied to his fish line fall. He runs out, and oh man, good on William. He's got a big old gigantic pike. He cleans it, collects the eggs for bait, and then he ties that big old pike to some paracord and drops it down in the river to secure it and to keep it in the cold water, friends. We'll see how that works out for William. All right, friends, it's day 58, 10:58 in the morning. Show goes back over to Timber. He finds a big moose antler, friends. A half of a moose antler, just one. He hooks it up, ties it to a big old piece of driftwood, and he takes 6 strands of monofilament fishing line, and he makes a bass guitar string, half antler, half driftwood, and he debuts his song, If You Find My Body, with that bass guitar. It's pretty good skit, friends. Decent sound. Good on timbre. Mental toughness. Okay, friends, it's day 59 now, 10:47 in the morning. Show goes back over to William. It's 23 degrees, friends, and it's just getting daylight. The light is coming up. The sunrise is later and later, and he puts 3 more set lines out on the river. We see him make a real nice, super thick ice chest out on the river, friends, with some heavy, thick pieces of ice, and he's going to store his bait and his hooks in there. If he gets any more fish, he plans on storing them in that ice chest. Real good on William. Real nice ice chest. Okay, friends, it's day 60 now, 11:46 in the morning, and the show goes over to Dub. He starts his ice fishing. He made a pair of snowshoes back on day 52 out of some alder and willow. And Dub is on a lake right behind his shelter, so the ice is a lot thicker than the river. About 1:48, he's out there finally. He gets to fishing with a pole that he also made back on day 52. It's day 60 now, friends. He stays out there fishing till about 4:30 in the evening, and there's nothing, friends. Back to the shelter to eat some of that questionable fish with the mice poop, friends. And he cooks some up, and he says, ooh, it's gooey. And when it cools off a little bit, it tastes super bad, friends. Okay, friends, day 61, 11:09 in the morning, and the show goes back over to Timber. He's sitting in his cabin with a nice fire, doing pretty well. And he's separating all that moose jerky, friends. He ties up one of those t-shirts, the open end that you put over your head. He ties it up for a nice cloth container, and we find out that about 50% of that moose jerky is molding. Some of it was too thick, friends. It dried it out real well, but about 50% had mold on it, so he cleans it up, cuts the mold off, and tries to salvage what he can. He thaws out some fish, cooks up some lunch. He's eating very well, friends. He's eating well every single day. But he tells us he's super hungry still, and he's constantly lusting after food. All right, friends, it's day 61, 2:51 p.m. The show goes back over to Dub. It's getting cold, friends. It's 14 degrees, and he's making a second gill net. Friends, daylight has decreased by 8 hours since day 1. So they got less and less daylight to get stuff done. Almost 16 to 17 hours of darkness where they're sitting in their shelter. He cuts a hole, friends, and deploys the gill net. And back to the shelter. It's cold. He shows us that violin / guitar that he made, and he sings us a little song. And he cries a little bit, telling us he's missing his mom and dad, friends. A little bit of mental breakdown. Okay, friends, it's day 62 now. Show goes back over to Timber. It's 19 degrees, and he gets out on the river and sets some fish lines. Back to the shelter. It's cold, friends, and he starts a fire in his shelter, friends. He uses some real dry spruce boughs where the needles are real dry, and it thing takes off, and he almost catches the roof on fire in that cabin, friends. All right, friends, it is day 63, 11:37 in the morning. The show goes over to William. And wow, friends, William gets another spruce grouse with that long pole with the snare on the end of the pole technique. And this time he takes a spruce grouse right out of the tree. I'm still blown away and amazed on how William does that. He sneaks up real calmly with that long pole, and he puts that snare right around the grouse's neck, and when it tries to fly off, boom, he's got it caught. Incredible on William. And also, friends, later that same day, he gets a huge whitefish out on the river, cleans it. He takes the eggs for fish bait, and that clean big whitefish he stores in the ice box. He cuts some more thick blocks of ice, fortifies the ice box, pours a little bit of water on it so it'll freeze up and seal up. Later on, up on the shore, back by his shelter, he sees old Sassy, that pine marten, trying to break in the icebox, but he can't, friends. The icebox is nice and strong. Looks good, so good on William. All right, friends, it's day 64 now, 11:19 in the morning. Show goes over to Dub. Friends, it's 11 degrees. He moves his ice fishing over to the river away from the lake. He wasn't catching anything over there. And friends, he gets a big old pike, about a 40-inch pike, friends, and he's besides himself. He's super happy. He was running out of food, friends, and he was having that mental breakdown. Friends, he feels like a brand new participant. He's back in the game, friends, super happy. All right, now the show goes over to Timber. He works on the fire problem. He's lost almost 35 pounds so far. Even with all that moose meat, fish, and rabbits that he's been getting, friends, still lost 35 pounds. We see him wake up. He's super worried about the fire that he almost started in his cabin. So he tears apart the chimney, does a chimney sweep, takes down the moose hide that he had for a flap, rebuilds the chimney a little bit, and he builds another fire in the old cabin, a little bit smoky. It's not as good as it was, but at least he feels like it's a little bit safer, friends. That did a nice chimney sweep. All right, friends, and Timber's talking to us about mental toughness. And he gives us Psalm 27 out of the Bible, friends, about no fear and confidence, and how he talks to God for strength, friends. So good on Timber. Friends, the show ends right there. That's going to end my recap. Friends, we got 3 people remaining still. Timber, William, and Dub. Everybody looks super strong. Everybody looks like they're getting plenty of food. All right, friends, that concludes my recap, and I want to thank you for stopping by the channel. I appreciate everything you do for the channel, all your views, all your likes, all your shares, but most importantly, all your comments. I still got my money on Timber. Leave me a comment. Let me know who you think's going to win this thing. And please, please don't depart from the faith. And if you haven't already, please give your life to Christ, friends. He died on the cross for you. He loves you very much. You don't need to get cleaned up first. Come as you are. Do it today. Don't wait. All right, friends. As always, God is good. God is great. I see y'all on the next video. Already got a date.